So, what advice would you have for somebody who is preparing for their first world show? Like mentally, physically, what would you recommend for somebody who's never done it before? What should they expect?
Get up in the middle of the night and just go be in that pen. Let yourself breathe in there. Let yourself relax. As much as I was saying, like, it was important for me to get my horse to take a breath and find those relaxing points, you need that as an exhibitor too. And I think being able to do it in a peaceful situation, not just like, oh, everybody's going around me, I'm just going to stand here, because you're going to feel inconvenient. People are going to be like, get out of my way. Take the time to go when it's quiet and give yourself that quiet time. Really sit there and think, I deserve to be here and I am going to give it my all.
Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach. Today, we're coming to you from the APHA World Championship show. We thought it would be really interesting to dive into what it's like to show at a world show as a first time exhibitor. And while I have shown numerous times at the NSBA and AQHA World Show, I've never shown at the APHA World Show. And so it's been really kind of eye opening for me going to a new facility surrounded by new people and being at a world championship level stage as basically a first timer. And I really thought that since I have competed at that level numerous times before, and I never really think twice about what different processes there are at the AQHA or NSBA World Show. But once I've stepped into the ring here, I'm like, wow, this is a completely different experience. So we wanted to dive into like some things that we suggest you do as first time exhibitors that can make your experience better, as well as different tips and insights to just help you to enjoy and have a good time. So let's start off first of all with the driving to the show. Like, I know that sounds so simple, but I've only competed at the Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum one time, and it was a long time ago. So the whole driving, parking, unloading situation was not something I really took into major consideration. So when I was hauling up here, because I drive my own horses, I had everything on the map and I knew exactly what streets I needed to take. I knew where my stalls were. So I knew once I got into the facility which streets I needed to take. However, Google Maps is not real life because there's the Dickies Coliseum, which is like a big event center. And I went on a Sunday. There was an event going on. So
Oh no.
numerous roads were blocked off.
Oh
I
no.
I felt like I was in a video game where you take a certain route and then you die and you have to start over. So then you take another route and then you die and you have to start over. And so I drove around this place probably 3 times before I finally was like, "Okay, Lauren, you have no idea what you're doing. We cannot trust Google Maps. We need to get out and talk to a real person." So I parked the car in the red zone and I ran inside and I said, "Excuse me, it's my first time here. How do I do this?" And they're like, "Oh, you just go here, here, and here. It's so easy." And once I went here, here, and here, it was so easy. But
Funny.
I really thought I was like, "I got this. It's just driving up to a horse show. It's easy." No, it wasn't. But once you asked somebody how to do it, it was really easy. So that was the first thing is if
That's
you
something that I hate about going to new places is luckily, I'm never really the one driving, I'm usually the co-pilot, but, like, the first time I went to Sun Circuit, like, you go to Westworld and then you have to, like, immediately take that right-hand turn, which
mm,
takes you down to the stalls. That is so easy to miss, and I've missed it even though I know it's there, just like driving a car and honestly driving a horse trailer, but you can't really turn around with a horse trailer if you miss it. like, you're kinda screwed if you miss that little turn. And I don't know, I get so much, like, anxiety, nervousness anytime I'm going to a new facility, literally just trying to figure out, like, where you're supposed to go, like, where you're actually supposed to drive in, where your stalls are, where anything is. It's really quite stressful, and sometimes a lot of people seem like they've been there, they've done that. You might feel kinda stupid going up and asking people for help, so I'm proud of you for having the confidence to be like, "I have no idea what I'm doing. Can somebody please help me out?
Well, I think what happened was my ego just got slashed down so many different times. I was like, "I have to do this."
Need
But
help."
I can't tell you I don't know when the last time I went to a quote unquote "new facility" was, because I've been blessed to have gone to a lot of different horse shows, and the ones that we go to are kind of like the ones where I'm like, "Okay, I like this one. Let's do this, let's do that." But to come to a new place, that was difficult. Oh, and then finding the RV spot, that was a little difficult
Oh.
as well because it is very far
Yeah,
away. That was also fun. Oh, and then when I had to go and find my actual stalls, the stall numbers jumped. So I walked around for a little bit, but not as long as I drove around for before I immediately asked somebody for help. So
good
once
job.
you start asking for help, it's just like, okay, the amount of time it takes for me to ask for help got shorter and shorter and shorter. And I just said, help me. And then people help.
Good job.
Yeah, yeah. So then another thing that we had to do is go to the show office. That was actually quote unquote easy because they have lots of signs that say where the show office is. So I went to the show office, I got my numbers. They have a little bit more of a process than like when I had entered the world show for AQHA, but it was very easy. Everyone in the office was so nice. So that was great. They were very welcoming. They made you feel really excited, and then they said that you have to go to a horse identification inspection. And I'm like, what is this? I don't know. But I have to take both my numbers and then go and walk down this tunnel, up this bridge, through this alley. And I'm like, I feel like I'm walking to Narnia. I don't know where I'm going. So then luckily I saw somebody else with some like a folder in their hands. And I said, hey, are you going to the inspection? And they're like, yeah. I said, "Do you know where it is?" And they go, "It's our first time." I said, "Cool.
You're
We're
like, "Great."
we're gonna get lost together." So we all started walking together where we kinda thought where they thought it was closer than where I thought it was. So that was really exciting because, they got us into the general direction, and then luckily there was a sign kinda hidden off to the left. They missed it. I saw it and I said, "Hey, guys, come back." And then I felt like the pro because I told them where it was. Um so that was
Team
exciting.
effort.
Yeah, so we went in there and then it was really interesting because they took pictures of the horse. I've never seen that before, and so that was really neat, and it was just super easy. Then they stamp your numbers and then you're on your way. And so I'm thinking, "Okay, I've got everything figured out. We're good to go." So I get my horse all settled in, everything's going well. The stalls are great. And I go for a ride. I kinda have an idea. I see where the arenas are. So I go to take my horse out just for a walk, and I bring her back. She's a little sweaty, and I wanna give her a bath, and I start looking around, and I cannot find the wash racks. And so that's just one thing that I just have taken for granted, I think, is just the knowing where stuff is.
Yeah, yeah, knowing where the manure pile is, knowing
Yeah.
where the wash tracks are, knowing where the lunging pads are, like, there's a lot to know at the horse show, where the bathrooms are, just simple things.
Yeah, I did have to ask her where
Yeah,
the bathroom was too. Um
yeah,
But it's just, like, all these little things that you totally take for granted, and you know what? Everybody who I ask for help, they are so happy to say, "Go this way, go that way," and, "Nice to see you here." So, someone directed me to where the wash racks were, and I was delightfully surprised to see that they have free shampoo and conditioner, and
yeah.
I felt like we were in a Pantene commercial because she got so lathered up and she looked beautiful by the time we were done with it. So that was
And some places, some wash racks don't have hoses, so you have to know if you need to even bring a hose on the trailer, literally just for the wash rack, and then you gotta remember to bring it with you, like, there's literally so many little roadblocks throughout the day if it's somewhere you've never been.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one, it has hoses, but they're, like, just short enough where you really have to reach to get the butt, and if
That's annoying.
so awkward. But yeah, so then we go and I was getting ready to show in my first class of the show, which when we are recording this, I've only shown one time and I have two more classes to show in. But my very first class of the show was the amateur hunt seat equitation. I got on in plenty of time because I wanted to prepare and make sure my horse was ready. One thing also that I would recommend is knowing what they mean when they say first call, second call, third call, because when I hear this at the other shows, I know about how long that means for each announcement. But here, I have no idea. I still have no idea. But I'd like to figure that out before the next show because as they were saying first call, I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I need to hurry up." And then it turns out
Gotta go.
I had a lot of time. So
Mhm.
we had plenty of time, but thankfully, because of that plenty of time, when I walked down, I knew that you had to be inspected before going into the pen, but I didn't realize where that inspection took place. So the inspection took place at the same place where they inspected your horse to make sure it's who it was supposed to be,
Oh my
which
gosh.
makes sense. But the back of the show arena is down some tunnel to the left, to the right, da,
Yeah.
da, da.
Yep.
So I walked to the back of the show arena and this gate is locked. And thank goodness I wasn't in a hurry because it was quite some walk from where I was to where I needed to be back down to where I was supposed to ultimately show.
Talk
So
about stressful right before your class.
yes, is it stressful or was it lack of preparedness? I just didn't know. And
You
so
didn't know. You
so
didn't know what you didn't know.
yeah, they were getting ready to place the class before me, and there was a girl standing back there that was gonna do ribbons, and I was like, "Excuse me, excuse me." And she came over and she goes, "Yes, ma'am, how can I help you?" And I go, "How do I get in here?" And she goes, "Oh, you have to go up and around, get inspected, and then come all the way down and then go over here." And I'm like, "I'm
Oh my
draw
god.
4. I better hurry up. I don't know how long it takes for them to drag here. I don't know how long it takes to do
Yeah.
awards." But luckily they've got intermediate and then they've got regular.
Yeah.
And so it
It
takes
takes
some
forever.
time. Yeah.
It takes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I'm draw 4 and I'm the next class. I better hurry up. So I am like power walking.
Run, Lauren.
Yeah, Pink and I, we are marching all the way up and back, and we get to the inspection, and that ended up actually being really great. They check your bridle, they check your gear, they check everything, and they make sure that you are compliant, and then they say, "Okay, you're good to go." So then I'm up in this inspection. Then there's an arena up there, and there was like a trainer up there helping one of their clients. So I thought, okay, we just wait up here and then they'll tell us when to go down. But apparently it was your choice to go down this other tunnel. So I'm kind of dilly-dallying up there. I'm like, when are they going to tell me to go down? And then the person with the trainer's like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, oh, I had a choice to go. So then I asked the trainer, I go, excuse me, am I allowed to just go down? And they're like, yeah. Like, oh, okay. All right. Well, we should hurry up and go down. So we went down the tunnel and I got to the other warm-up pen, which wasn't much bigger than the inspection warm-up pen. And basically all I could do was walk around, which was thank goodness, like I had my horse prepared because you weren't gonna do any last minute stuff there. But I
There wasn't room?
it's very small by the time you get all the people down there, you pretty
Wow.
much just walk in a circle.
Where's the closest, like, place you can actually warm up?
Well, up the tunnel, around the outside, through another pen. It'll take
Is that, like, covered outdoor pen?
that one's being occupied by the Rainers.
Uh, oh, I can't think of which one it is then.
It's by the parking garage.
Yes, okay, yeah, but it's, like, covered, but it's not, like, fully enclosed, right?
No, I think you're thinking of the one that they have the reining showing in. This one's all the way at the other end, and it's fully enclosed.
Okay. Obviously, I haven't been there very often. I've been there once,
It's
and I
okay.
wasn't showing.
You've been there more than me, and so that was
Yeah.
yeah, so that was really interesting, and then once you're done showing, you come out and you're back in that little warm-up area, but you're still kind of locked in there, and, like, at the quarter horse world or the NSBA world, you can take your horse back to go to the bathroom, and then you can come back whenever they do rail work and, like, awards and stuff, but I couldn't get anyone to give me a straight answer as to whether or not I was allowed to leave. So I just waited. But maybe I could have taken her back to go to the bathroom, maybe not. I don't know. That's the one thing I'd also like to get some clarification on before the next class because we were down there for a long time. But
Uh,
but I don't know. I mean, it still probably would have taken a long time for me to walk all the way up and then
well,
let her go to the
yeah.
bathroom and then walk all the way back down. So I'm not sure. So if anybody
The other
knows the
thing
answer on
the
that.
other thing you should mention is you're pretty much DIYing this horse show. Like, you don't at
Yeah.
this point, you don't have anybody there with you. It's literally just you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And a lot of times my mom will come. I didn't even have my mom here this time. So
Oh, your mom's not there?
no, it's just me. Just me
Oh,
and my 2 dogs.
that feel even worse that I couldn't come. Lauren was like, "You should come to the World Show," and I was like, "Oh, I want to so bad," but I had too much other personal stuff going on, so I couldn't make it happen, and now I feel even worse.
No, you're okay. Luckily,
Aw.
that is the one thing I will say about the paint community. All of you are so nice. Thank you for welcoming me because when I went down there too, I didn't have anything. I just had my phone, which my mom was watching from home. So I just left my phone on the rail when I went and showed. And when I came out, I called my mom, like, how do we do? What'd you think? Um, so so that was really nice, and then when we went back for rail work, my phone's there, and I'm like, "Oh, no, I didn't think about this part because it's gonna get trapped on one end of the arena, and I have to exit the
Yeah.
other end of the arena, and apparently
Yeah.
I can't get through this other part unless I'm being inspected, so what do I do?" So, luckily, there was somebody really nice down there, and I said, "If I gave you my phone, will you hold it till the end?" And they didn't run off with it, and it
Aw.
was great. So
That's awesome. Yeah, because that's another thing about that place is you don't exit the pen the same way that you enter it.
no, so that was really interesting because my plan was just to leave this thing there, and realistically, I coulda just sat there in complete silence and waited, but I wanted to know how I did or, like, what my mom at
Well,
least thought
yeah.
of it, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was interesting, and yeah, and doing the whole being by yourself there during this part, the hardest part was making sure my boots were clean because
Mm.
you're having to get off for this inspection and you get off in the dirt. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to obviously stay clean and do all this stuff, but I don't have anybody to do any last minute brushing, any last
No.
minute
Or,
fly
like, pull
spray.
the tail out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also that's another thing is the last minute fly spray. That's the one thing that I think you don't realize how much you appreciate that. And
Mhm. Or
luckily,
someone to, like, wipe the muzzle clean with, like, a little rag. Like, so
yeah,
many little things.
yeah, exactly, where even if all you do is bring a body with you that doesn't know anything about
Mhm.
horses that can just do a half decent job on all that stuff, like, that would make all the difference because
Yeah.
it
Remind you if you, like, forgot your gloves or, like, if you forgot to snap your top button or if your shirt's not tucked in. Like, there's so many things.
yeah, exactly. Are you looking for that extra competitive edge, struggling with show pen anxiety, or looking to set and achieve meaningful goals with your horse? Schedule a session with me, Lauren, your dedicated mindset coach. As an experienced competitor, I understand the mental demands required to excel at the highest level, and I'm here to support you in building a plan to help you stay accountable and reaching those goals. For more information, check out laurencervelli.com or click on the website link in our show notes. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
Hi, everyone. It's your personal trainer, Ellie. If you're looking to become a stronger, more balanced, and flexible rider, I'm here to help. I offer virtual personal training sessions and customized workout plans that you can complete on your own. As a fellow competitor, I understand the physical demands riding requires, and my goal is to help you perform your best for your horse, whether you're preparing for a show or just want to improve your everyday rides. Visit lopeanddowntherailfitness.com or click on my website tab in the notes of this podcast episode to learn more. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
That's one other thing too that I wanted to talk to everybody about is when I was making the banding schedule for this show, I was thinking I don't know why. I think part of it's because I haven't been to a world show in 2 years, and I didn't even think about it. But I was like, "Okay, I'm trying to save some money, so I'm just gonna band her once and then band her for the whole show." What was I thinking? I'm at the World Championship show. She should have been braided. So, everybody who's listening, if you are on the fence between whether you should band your horse or braid them, if you're showing in the equitation, go ahead and book that braider because I felt a little silly that I was the only one who didn't have a braided tail or a braided mane. And I was like, "What am I doing? Because I've got 3 days before I have to be banded." I 1000% could have braided her, taken it out, and then banded her, but I just didn't think about it. I was trying to save some money and just do it once and call it good, but I felt really silly. So,
Well, obviously, you still did really well. So, Lauren, for everybody listening who doesn't know, Lauren was reserve world champion in the EC, which is, I'm so proud of you. It's so incredible, so amazing. So, yeah, obviously, it didn't affect your placings. Maybe it did. Maybe you would have won if you were braided. We don't know.
I don't think I would have won if I was braided. I would like to believe that the judges rewarded a pattern, but, for me, I think it was just a little bit of, like, respect for the class
Right.
that I
Yeah.
felt in a way that I disrespected the class.
It's an overall, like, feeling, polished look. Like, is it gonna affect your placings? Probably not. Is it gonna maybe impact, like, your confidence as you're, like, sitting there on the rail, looking around, seeing everybody else, is braided and you are? Maybe, but, you know.
And thankfully, I honestly, because we have been talking about this so many times about your mental preparation, do not look at the competition before you go. Just focus on yourself, do what you need to do, be one with your horse, be so engrossed with what your needs are that you're going to let the rest fall away. I honestly didn't even notice until I was standing on that wall that I was the only one that was banded. I didn't even notice when we were doing the walk around in that little tiny arena because I wasn't paying attention to who or
Good.
what anyone was. But once I stood on that wall, I felt really bad. But yeah, like you said, don't let it affect your confidence if you are in a situation where you can't maybe braid your horse or can't do the things. But if you have a choice, I highly recommend getting that horse braided.
I will say, so when I competed at the Level 1 West, I competed in the Huntsy, and it was hard because I was showing her with her owner, and she had Western classes that day,
Mm,
and she's a Western horse, and so we couldn't braid her, because she would have just looked ridiculous in her Western classes with her braids, because she's like a 15-1 Western pleasure horse.
yeah.
Honestly, I felt kinda silly even going in the eck with her a little bit,
Yeah.
and when I was sitting on the rail getting placings and everything, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "I'm, like, the only one banded out here." I wish that I could have been braided. So, if you're listening to this and you're wondering if you should braid or not, both of us have had experiences where we wish we would have been braided. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Or at least if you can't braid the mane, braid the tail.
I don't think you can do that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, because I remember I asked Savannah, my trainer, about that because I was like, "I know we can't do the mane, but what about the tail just for this class?" And she was like, "Oh, no. You either do both or you don't."
Okay.
So, yeah, but maybe that's just her opinion. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly. Maybe somebody with more experience can, correct us, but I think you either do both or you don't do either.
Yeah, if you guys are listening, leave it in the comments. Let us know what you
Yeah,
think. Whether
yeah.
we could halvesies it, right? Is there a happy
Mhm.
medium or is that just total faux pas and that's worse than going all Western?
Like, I think it'd be kind of the same tune of banning the main, but not the forelock, or banning the main and the forelock, but then not putting a fake tail in. Like, I think it's kinda the same thing.
So interesting. But yeah, so that was
Yeah.
a really, really different thing that happened. And then what other questions or what other things would you have if you were a first time exhibitor?
Mm, listening to you talk, well, okay, so one thing I did wanna mention earlier when you were talking about, the classes and how long they take and everything. So I've been at the Paint World Show once. I went in 2023 because we had a youth kid in our barn showing, and I happened to be in Texas, and so I went for a couple of days, and, that was a really cool experience. I'm really glad that I went to do that. So that, definitely gave me more confidence for if I go to that show in the future. Like if I do plan on trying to at least go to Quarter World someday, which I've never been to, never even to watch. So I want to make sure that I can get there just to watch, to know some of these things. Because when Lauren was talking earlier about how she has no idea how long the classes are going to take, it's at a show she's never been to. Even though I haven't shown there, I know a little bit more than Lauren might have because I'd been there and I'd watched a lot of her classes. And I remember we were sitting in the stands, and I think it was the youth pleasure was going on, and our kid who was showing was in the next class. And we were sitting in the stands, and all of a sudden I was like, Rachel, like, you're in the next class. Like, you're not even dressed. And Savannah, my trainer, was like, she's fine. And I'm like, what do you mean she's fine? She's in the next class. Like, I don't understand. And they explained to me, they're like, well, there was two splits of the class. So they have to do the first split, then they do the second split, then they do the finals. Then they place the intermediate awards, then they do the normal awards, and then they drag. Like, there's like, each class took, like, over an hour, even if there was only, like, not that many exhibitors in it. And so they were right. I was wrong, but I was getting really nervous. I wasn't even showing, and I was nervous that the kid was gonna miss her class. So, I think that if I were you and you were saying, like, maybe I should have prepared more, like, did you sit and watch any of the classes before to know, like, about how long things were running?
No, absolutely not, and I probably should have
How
done that.
come?
Uh, because the classes that were going before were hunter under saddle classes,
Oh,
and
yeah, that's hard.
so in my mind, I didn't think that it necessarily correlated to the timing of what I was going to be doing or the classes that I was going to be doing, and then the class before me was kind of small, even though it was an equitation class. I didn't feel like I could go and look since I was the only one there. I wouldn't be able to,
Right.
like, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to get everything done being alone, and so I figured, well, I'd rather be up too early because that horse has a great
Right.
attitude that I showed. So, I knew that she would be able to handle being up there a long time and be happy. She probably was happier the longer she was up there.
Yeah, yeah, okay, well, that's good then, because I feel like a lot of horses would not tolerate that, especially mares. They'd be like, I gotta pee," like,
Yeah,
I feel like that would be hard.
yeah.
What would you have done if you had to pee while you were up there?
Well, yeah, that was a great question. So when I asked somebody, I said, "Can I take her back to go to the bathroom?" And they said they thought I said I needed to go to the bathroom, and they're like, "Oh, we'll hold your
Oh,
horse for you." So maybe I'm allowed, but my horse isn't allowed to go bathroom. I'm not sure,
weird,
but
weird.
yeah. Anyways, that part ended up working out okay. One thing that I would also highly recommend is going to the ride the pattern.
Yeah, did you do that?
No.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yes, well, here's the reason that I recommend it, and the reason I didn't go, and the reason I'm going to go to the next ones is because I didn't get there in time. So,
Uh,
I didn't get to
Time management. Come on, Lauren.
I know, I was trying to live like a normal life, and then I didn't make it. But you know
Oh,
what?
come
Maybe I would've got there in time if I didn't have to play Frogger and die so many times and have to restart over trying to park that truck. Uh, but so I didn't get to see the ride the pattern because I didn't get there in time. So, yes, that was poor time management. But I highly recommend it because when I was standing up there, I was draw 4, so I wanted to get a lay of the land. One thing that was really nice, though, is the way that the pattern is drawn. You know where the center line is, and the center line is always going to be the big APHA World Show
Mhm.
logo. So when I went and walked the pattern the night before, I based everything off of that, and I told myself that I can either expand or contract based on where they put the cones, but this is where it will probably naturally flow, and I got lucky. They put everything basically exactly where I thought that everything would naturally flow to. So the way that I had visualized it and walked it the night before was the way it ended up turning out, but it would have been really nice to see that because when you go to the ride the pattern, they will tell you the cone is going to be 8 foot off the rail. The cone is going to be at this marker and at this marker and at this marker. And so when they were setting the cones, the person setting it actually put it in it the wrong spot. And
Oh,
so
no.
when they said it, I thought, "Oh dear, this is gonna be a little bit tight." So, well, we'll just go with it. But luckily, one of the trainers there saw this happening and they go, no, 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 no. They said it was going to be 8 foot off the rail. You need to change that. And so then they fixed it and it was exactly how the ride the pattern would be. So
Oh, good.
that was a really good thing to see as if they do the ride the pattern, they will stick to whatever they tell you that night. So make sure you go, watch it. So then when you go and do your walking and your visualizations, it's exactly how it's going to be when you go and show it. Like what a great resource that they provide. And if you
Yeah.
don't take advantage of it, that's shame on you. So shame on you, Lauren. But shame on you for not going if there's no reason that you can't be there.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been irresponsible for you to, like, leave the horse in the truck or in the trailer and go and watch it. So, that's just the card you were dealt that day.
Yeah, exactly. But I will be going to the ride the patterns at the rest of them, and I will report back as to my experience and enjoyment on those. But that's a really cool resource, so be sure to check that out. And then, like I said, go in the middle of the night. I went in the middle of the night because I knew it was gonna be a zoo, and I knew that I personally needed to walk it. If you go in the middle of the night, I know it's a pain because you have to disrupt your sleep schedule, but you will get the arena almost to yourself. There was me and one other lunge liner, and I was able to take the time that I needed to take. I could rewalk those lines multiple times, settle where I wanted to settle, let my horse breathe where I thought she was going to be tense. So I would walk myself, and where I thought she'd be nervous, I stopped and I let her stand there for like 2 or 3 minutes and let her learn that that was a rest spot for her and then kept going. But if it was a big, busy arena, I would not have been able to do that. So make sure you inconvenience yourself to make it easier on your horse and go and set yourself up for success.
100%. How are you managing getting around for your first time there?
Oh,
Like,
well,
through the tunnels?
yeah, tunnels are less than ideal. Like
So, for anybody who doesn't know, explain, like, how the tunnels work.
yeah, it is so weird. You're walking and then all of a sudden there's just big opening. And I don't know, there's
Mhm.
like some music playing. There is no music, but it feels like it's just like drawing you in. And so you walk down this tunnel, which is underneath the entire facility. It connects it because what they do is they use it for moving the cattle around because there's a lot of cattle shows here, and it's much easier to move the cattle through these tunnels to the different arenas than it is to put them above on the concrete and asphalt and all the traffic and everything that's happening. So at this show, we use the tunnels to be able to walk to the different arenas, to practice pens, to different stalling areas. And so you can kind of just meander around until you get lost and go to all different places. Once you get the tunnel system nailed down, it is so efficient and so easy. But the first time, you're like, do I go left? Do I go right? Because these things go on forever and I don't know what's what and what's next, and luckily, I had somebody to follow the first time that I
Mhm.
used it, but otherwise,
'Cause
I've
at least when I was there, they are not well labeled about what tunnel is taking you where.
I don't know if they're labeled at all. Is there
I
any?
don't think they're labeled at all. I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's no, like, map. Like, I wish that there was a map that you could, like, take a picture of and it was, like, all throughout the tunnel systems.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So if APHA is listening, I have a complaint, and it's
Yeah.
about the tunnels.
Give us a tunnel map, please. Tunnel map. Oh,
Yeah,
and
like, can't be that hard.
I have one other complaint. I need a place that is open past 5 o'clock that I can go buy water at.
What?
I needed a bottle of water yesterday, and it was after 5 o'clock, and everything had shut down. And I was so thirsty. I was walking
Oh
around
my
and
gosh.
I ended up finding a water bottle, like, refilling station.
Ah, there you go.
And so then I had to go to my truck and find an old water bottle. Just go fill it up.
Just another thing where, like, now you know.
I
You need to get
yeah.
water before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I wouldn't have known that. And then also, like I said, the RV spot is very far away. So a lot of times I will walk because I'm a big believer in just walking everywhere and I try to get my steps in. It's a great way to be able to get more exercise. But I literally it would take me 20 minutes to walk to the barn and come back here. So I've just been driving, which
Yeah.
is fine, but I feel a little guilty every time that I drive, and then it's hard because my dogs are here, and I'm not able
Mhm.
to get them out quite as much as I could if or I would if I were to just be able to walk back and forth because I'm always afraid of
Yeah.
losing my parking spot because parking is like, you fight for it. So pretty much
Mhm.
yeah, so I've been coming back and then I'll walk my dogs out here and then I will drive back. But one thing I will say that's exciting, sorry, this has nothing to do with walking your dog, is the prizes at the APHA World Show. They're so cool. Like you actually get things just for placing, whereas at the Quarter Horse World Show, we don't get any trinkets. I know that it really doesn't make quote unquote that big of a difference because it costs us so much money to get here. And when you get a jacket or a halter, it's nothing compared to the cost of the class. But to me, it's what it represents, right? Like when you have something to be able to take home with you, you can look back and look at that shelf. Yeah, they gave away a shelf, which I thought was so interesting. And I'm like, okay, now you
Oh,
win the shelf, and then after that, you need to go win a buckle so you can put it on the shelf. But
yep.
it's cool to be able to look at that and then say, I did that, or I made this friend here, or I got lost in a tunnel, right? It's just a nice reminder of the experience that you were able to have here.
Yeah, it makes you feel good as the exhibitor,
Yeah.
and that's how you get people to come back is you make them feel good.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um,
Yeah.
and people are really, really nice here. Like I was saying, everybody was very helpful in me being lost and everything, but people are also just nice. Like I was riding my 2-year-old around because I brought him just to just ride around. And people will be nice and be like, "Wow, that's a really cute horse," or "Wow, your horse is, like, really good-minded or good-legged," or whatever, and that's fun. And then when I was on the rail in the Hunt Seat Equitation lineup, I had the nicest girl who we had communicated on Facebook before, but never in person. She came and she just chatted up a conversation, and we actually interviewed her, and she will be one of our guests on here, which is so exciting. Like, she had a great story, but there's some really cool people, and it's just been a fun experience to kinda get out of the norm and be a quote unquote "newbie" again, even though it's technically doing all the same things, but just in a different way, and it's fun.
I love it. So, what advice would you have for somebody who is preparing for their first world show? Like mentally, physically, what would you recommend for somebody who's never done it before? What should they expect?
Get up in the middle of the night and just go be in that pen. Let yourself breathe in there. Let yourself relax. As much as I was saying, like, it was important for me to get my horse to take a breath and find those relaxing points, you need that as an exhibitor too. And I think being able to do it in a peaceful situation, not just like, "Oh, everybody's going around me, I'm just gonna stand here," because 'cause you're gonna feel inconvenienced. People are gonna be like, "Get out of my way." Take the time to go when it's quiet and give yourself that quiet time. Really sit there and think, "I deserve to be here, and I am going to give it my all." So, I would definitely recommend doing that. And then, obviously, I love visualization. So, before you get to the show, because at these big shows, they give you the patterns beforehand. Really dial in your visualization of how you want that to go and what you see it looking like. Because once you get to the show, you are showing off everything that you have done to prepare. You're not going to be training your horse here. You're not going to be changing your horse here. You're not going to be changing yourself here. So, visualize the best that you can do today. So that way, when you step into the arena, you can get all that you can give today. And that's okay. And that's all you can ask for. Whether that is quote unquote good enough to win, I don't know. But as long as you give your best and get your best in the arena, you can walk away with your head held high and be very proud of every single second that you spent out there.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. I wanted to take a moment to thank our very first gold sponsor, Hobby Horse Clothing Company. If you're looking for a cost effective way to elevate your look at the horse show, check out what Hobby Horse has to offer. From budget friendly crystal jackets to simple show shirts to stylish lifestyle tops, Hobby Horse has everything you need to look your best. Make sure you use code EYR2025 for an additional 10% off at checkout. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Elevate Your Ride. We're so excited to continue helping you elevate your performance in the saddle. To keep bringing you quality content and information, we're asking you to help us. Tell your friends about us on our podcast, like and share a meaningful quote you saw on our social media, write us a review on Spotify or Facebook. You can also join our Facebook group and ask all your health and fitness questions, or maybe post a success story to motivate another amateur. Your engagement really helps us support and encourage the equestrian community. We're also inviting sponsors and supporters to help us build our show. As a sponsor, starting at just $150, you'll receive marketing on our podcast, website, and growing social media platforms for your business. It's the perfect way to connect with the equestrian community and showcase your brand to our dedicated listeners. And for our supporters, your $50 contribution gets you a shout out on our social media and website. Every bit of support really helps fuel the show and helps us inspire and motivate equestrians. So, if you're interested in learning more about that, you can scroll down to the show notes of this episode and look for the Become a Supporter or Become a Sponsor links and click on those to get some more information. Thank you for listening. We can't wait to continue expanding our platform and helping you elevate your ride.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. Are you loving our show and looking for a way to show your support? Check out our line of Elevate Your Ride merchandise. From stylish t shirts to cozy hoodies to journals and hats, we have everything you need to represent your favorite podcast. Ready to gear up? Click on the Buy Our Merchandise Here link in the podcast notes, or head on over to our website, elevateyourride.co, and click on the Store tab. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like, follow, and share our platform with your friends. A big stress for me was not knowing the transportation situation, right? With the unloading and the driving and the where to park and where to do all the things. So if there's any way for you to get a facility map or for you to talk to someone, and that's the beauty of so many of these forums that we have nowadays. Try to find somebody who's been there to give you a lay of the land before you get there, because that caused me so much stress and it made me feel very uncomfortable and very much in a way like I didn't belong there. Even though I did belong there, I felt like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm inconveniencing everyone around me because I am bogging up the system. But if I could have had a better understanding as to where to go, where to park, where to unload, where everything was, it would have gone so much smoother and, like, been a good unloading experience. I would have made it to the Ride the Pattern, and everything would have just, like, gone much better there, but I didn't know. And there were people that I probably could have asked, but I think I took it for granted a little bit that just assuming that it would be easy, and it wasn't. So don't feel like that's a dumb question to be able to ask somebody as to, like, how do I park and do all these things? So that part I would definitely try to prepare for, because that was an unnecessary stress that I experienced.
That's really good advice for just horse showing in general, not just at a world show. You are not going to be able to change you or your horse at the horse show. Like, very rarely are you going to even exceed your expectations at a horse show. Most of the time, you're meeting or maybe not even quite meeting your expectations. And I feel like people get into trouble and have big blowups and make big mistakes when they're trying to exceed their
Mhm.
expectations. And it's not that you're trying to look down on yourself and have, like, a negative mindset and say, "Oh, well, I can't do that," and Ellie on the podcast said that I can't do great things, so I'm just not gonna do great things. That's not what I'm saying. Just be realistic and, don't create a bigger problem at the horse show that you're gonna have to fix when you get home, because that's not good.
Yeah, exactly, because the greatness is created before you get there, and you show off the
Mhm.
greatness once. it's been built. It's not.
What's that quote? You win your trophies at practice, you just pick them up at the
Yeah.
horse show. There's
Yes.
some sorta good quote that some famous horse trainer, I don't know who it was, said that, and, that is so true. It's years and years of work that led up to that, not
Mhm.
just a couple hours at the horse show.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Trophies are earned at home and picked up at the horse show.
Yes, yes, yeah, I think that's how the quote goes.
Yeah. And it's the truest thing ever. And I think that can also be said about yourself. So, like, I can't come to the horse show and think I'm going to lose 5 pounds in 2 days, right? I have
No.
to come to the horse show and say, I'm happy with who I am and I'm going to show off who I am and what I can do. Just like we had to do no irons for the rail work. There is no way I could have gotten here and said, okay, I've got 2 days to figure out how to do no irons rail work. No, you have to be working on that and be able to do it at home before you get here, right?
Yeah, 100%. If you couldn't put your heels down all season long, it's not gonna magically happen at the horse show.
Yeah, and you can't be disappointed if it doesn't happen, right?
Yes, yes, that would be an example of having too high of expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just being honest with yourself about where you are and what you can do, and then really working towards that.
What advice would you have for somebody who's preparing for their very first class day of at a world show? Very first time at the world show as well.
You got to eat.
That is really good advice.
Yeah, because even when I was talking to our other interviewee earlier today, that is something that she said is really important to her because she has low blood pressure and she'll even pass out. But when you get caught up in the moment of being at the show, trying to get ready, you're nervous, food and water just somehow slips away. You need to prioritize that. And for me, like, I as soon as I get up, I make myself down a thing of water, and then when I'm at the barn, I have water at different areas, and I say, "Okay, at this time, I have to drink, and I have to eat, and I have to drink, and I have to eat." And I almost make it part of the routine, and I force myself to do it because if I am malnourished, whether that's from food or from water, I cannot expect my brain to function well enough to be a good leader for my horse when I step into that pen. So taking
Hey, you can't
care
perform.
No, exactly. So taking care of myself and treating myself like an athlete is the best way to be successful for me personally. And I think a lot of people can relate to that of needing to be nourished in order to perform. And then aside from food, I would say it's the day of the show. Really lean on your visualization and like do your breathing. And like for me, I'll say a prayer and I say, Lord, please just let me show up as the best version of myself for my horse. And whatever that is, whether that's enough, that's not up to me. But let me be able to walk out of there and say, I gave my best. And so I really think that that's as horsemen all we can ask for is that we show up as our best selves. It doesn't mean that it means we're the winner, just as long as we showed up in every stride of every way.
I totally agree. So I'll give an example of when I had that mindset and it worked well for me, and when I didn't have that mindset and it didn't work well for me. So again, I'll bring up when I showed at the level one championships last year. So I showed in two classes. That was it. I showed in the rookie EQ and the level one EQ. And I really, really wanted to do well because that was the first time that I'd competed at like a big, like that's the biggest horse show I've ever competed at. And I hold high expectations of myself of like, okay, I have this podcast. I am a personal trainer for equestrians. I need to be out showing and showing off what I preach, right? And so I really, really wanted to do well and kind of show people that like what we talk about works and really, put it put it out there. So I knew that I had a better shot of doing better in the rookie than the level one class, obviously, because there's uh, not as stiff of competition in that. So I had the mindset going into that class that I just needed to do really well. I really wanted to win that class or at least get, like, top 3. Like, that was my goal going into it, and I wasn't really prioritizing me and my horse and our pattern, if that makes sense. I was prioritizing how it looked and not how it felt, and I just wanted the pattern to be really, really good, and that's what I was focusing on. I wasn't necessarily focusing on the partnership, the connection, all the things that you just said right before I started explaining all this, right? And so I actually DQ'd myself from that class. I picked up the wrong diagonal, and that's something that I'd been working on so hard all season because that's something that I've always really struggled with is actually feeling my diagonals, especially on that horse that I showed. She just for whatever reason, I could never feel them on her. And I was so butthurt about it. I was like, "Man, that was my shot, and I blew it." And so I went back to the stalls, and as Lauren says all the time, my sucker was in the dirt, and that
Mm.
sucked. And then I got ready for my level 1 class, and I was like, "All right, like, pressure's off because I know I'm not gonna do as well in this class." Like, I'm against way stiffer competition, there's more people in the class. I'm just gonna go out, and I'm just gonna show off what I've been working on for the past 6 months. And that's what we did. And you know what? We ended up getting 5th, and I think we even got 2nd on one card. And that was on a little Western horse, and she that was one of the very first times that she had shown eq. We'd shown it together maybe 2 or 3 times. That was my first time competing at a championship show, and we went and got 5th out of I don't know, there was like 30 something people in the class. And honestly, I was prouder of the pattern that we laid out together than actually getting 5th place. Like, watching back and looking at that pattern, I watch it even today, I'll be like, "That was the best we could have done on that day," based on how she was prepared, how I was prepared, where we were at in our own riding together at that point. Because she struggles with a couple things, I struggle with a couple things, and sometimes when we ride together, it's just a dumpster fire. Like, sometimes I ride that horse and I'm like, "I don't even know how to ride." And so I just was really, really proud that we were able to, like, pull it together. It was the best that we could, and honestly, I think it was because that mindset that I had for that 2nd class was I wasn't worried about winning. I wasn't worried about placing super high. I mean, my goal, because I always had a goal, right? My goal was to get top 5, and I achieved that, but that was a realistic goal for us. I don't know that it was realistic for us to win that other class. That was probably too high of an expectation, and that's probably why I bombed it. And then the 2nd class, I was more calm, I was more put together, and I remember I was sitting at that start cone, and the first class I was saying, "You have to do well." And the
Mhm.
second class I was saying, "Just ride your horse." Like, just
Yeah.
you have a cool horse, you're sitting on a great horse, she's gonna take care of you. And I was way more connected with her the second pattern. So, yeah, that just goes to show that your mindset when you're at the cone totally changes how you're gonna do.
Oh, yeah, it's a night and day difference, and I love
Yeah.
that you were able to experience that, difference in such a short time frame, right?
Yeah, it was like an hour later.
Yeah, yeah, and have you been able to kinda take that mindset that you felt the difference of and replicate it once you went forward showing? Was it easier for you to say, "Okay, this is where I need to be because I saw the stark difference before"?
You know, it's hard because I've only shown once since then. So the rest of last year, that was the only time that I showed all of last year because then I was moving and I got married and all that stuff. And I've only shown one time this year, and that was in February, March. But I did show that same horse. I showed her in the eck, the hunter under saddle, and the horsemanship, I believe. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And but it was also different because it was at a smaller local show. It was in Oregon. I'd shown her there a bunch. It was in an environment that I had shown her before and I was really comfortable with. And so I'm always less nervous in that environment, but I do think that I had a strengthened mindset of, okay, just think back to what worked well for you at level 1
Mhm.
and just go into here with no expectations. And I'm pretty sure I won all my classes or at
Atta
least was like first
girl.
and second. And granted, they were smaller class sizes. I think the biggest one I had was like 8. But still, and our scores were good and we rode well together. Neither of us were nervous. Like I think that if I look at how we showed, because I've shown that mare quite a few times now and for a couple of years, how I look at how we show together now versus when we first started showing is so different. And yes, I think it's because both of us have connected together, but I think it's because a lot of it has to do with the mindset shift that I have, like, going out there to have fun and to do well and to show off what we've been working on, not necessarily going out and trying to win, because those are kind I mean, the end result is trying to be the same, but the mindset behind it is different.
Yeah, it is so different.
Yeah.
One, to me, of going out there to try to win is one of pressure and tension and
Yes.
tightness. And
Yes, 100%.
going out there to be the best rider is one of flow and confidence and
Yes.
knowledge.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I was able to do that when I showed her in whatever it was earlier this year. I just was able to go out and be confident and have fun, and that's way more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still did well, so it's not like I did all that and then I got last place and everything, and I got a bunch of penalties and I didn't score well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you did better, and
Yeah.
it was probably much more relaxing and fun to do it.
Yes. Yes, it was. It was a very low-key relaxed show, and that I really like.
That's great.
Yeah. Any last pieces of advice for anybody going to their first world show?
Just go out there and have fun. Don't be afraid to connect with the people around you too. Oh, that was one
Yeah.
other exciting thing. Our neighbors in the stalls made homemade ice cream yesterday and it was delicious. So
Oh,
shout out to them
it's
for not
cool.
only making it, but for sharing because it was
Oh,
delicious and I've thought about it all day today and was really hoping they would make some more.
that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, I have been to the Paint World Show just for a couple days just to watch, but I have not been to Quarter Horse World Show. But when I was at Paint, I will say that I agree with Warren that everybody seemed really nice and welcoming, and that part made it way more enjoyable. So if you're at these world shows and you see somebody who maybe looks a little lost and that sort of stuff, don't be afraid to go up and help them, I guess,
Yeah,
just create the community that you want to be a part of.
absolutely. Be the light. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up to date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.